Hi guys, and welcome back to another Shaun the Buffalo video. Hope you've all been well. Now today I am doing a deck list on a deck that has won me first place in the last two locals tournaments that have happened, one yesterday and one of today of this video's recording date. The first one was in Chester, the second one was in Liverpool, and I decided to run Dialga VSTAR Turbo variant. Now, just as a quick disclaimer, this video is going to be quite shaky because I do not own camera equipment properly, so I'm recording this on my phone. I just wanted to get this deck list on my channel just so people can understand the deck a bit better and, you know, potentially give it a go themselves, and like why I found this list so good. I will be changing some camera angles because I can see there's some glare on the supporter section, so I'll go into that in a second. So firstly, I've chosen to go for only 3 copies of Mew and the obviously singular copy of Raging Greninja, the 2 Crobat and the 1 Zacian. I don't see a lot of the turbo variants playing Zacian, and because at the moment the way that the meta is, not many people are playing many copies of Marnie, maybe like 2 Marnie at most. And if they're forced to search for it, then they're not searching for Irida in like Palkia, for example, so they're very rarely disrupting rounds. They're mainly going for their own game plan, but that makes Zacian that much more powerful in this deck. And obviously I don't run 4 Mew because I cut the 4th Mew for the Zacian for that purpose, and in fact, you know, going first, even if you just Intrepid Sword and actually get an energy onto it, it means that at any given point in the in your games, you may be actually able to attack with Zacian, which for 230 damage that it does with Brave Blade, for 3 energy, is actually a higher damage output than 3 energy on Dialga VSTAR, for example. So that's why I decided to go with Zacian. Obviously, the stars of the show are the Origin form Dialga V and VSTAR. The VSTAR attack is absolutely nuts. Having an extra turn in this game, especially if you go first as well, it should just be a game winner. If you flip the coin or dice or whatever the case may be, and gone first, you're already a turn ahead of your opponent. Not to mention that you're churning through your deck so fast with the Mews and the Raging Greninja and the Crobat and the Zacian as well, drawing 3 at the end of your turns. But to get an additional turn on top of that, even against single prize card decks, which I faced in my final round actually of today's tournament, which came first in Liverpool, the last round was against Mad Party, and I did win the coin flip in that game, and I went first, and then I just managed to basically get way ahead of the game just through turboing through my deck and then start Cronus in exactly the right moment. I started attacking early with Metal Blast whilst they were building up Mad Party in the bin, and by the time they'd free shot my Dialga VSTAR in the active, I came in, Star Chronosed, and then taken another knockout, and then by the time they took that VSTAR out as well, I had a Zacian with an energy onto it that I actually got off Intrepid Sword turn 1, so that was basically how I managed to get ahead of the game. It's an incredible deck really. For a rogue deck, it's actually sick. And in that tournament as well, I also faced Blissey Miltank, and this card is so good. At one point I managed to back my opponent into a corner of like dead drawing off a Marnie, and rather than just running over the Miltank with this, I seized my I could sense blood in the water, so I was just kept on using temporal backflow to get back like boss's orders that I'd discarded and other metal sources that I'd already used and such. Like, that card is insane. I can't give this card enough credit, and it deserves a spot in every single Dialga deck, just as a Miltank counter more than anything. But also, it stops your opponent from stalling, because you could potentially just temporal backflow just to get a switchback or something, like, and then obviously you're going to be attacking with it down the line. So, and then your opponent knows you've got the switch in hand, so it's not like they can attempt a boss stall play. Unless they Marnie it and then boss like the following turn, but you know, by then obviously you've got other scoop up nets to get the Dialga out the active anyway, so it's just cracked. I've gone for an 11 energy count rather than 12. I see a lot of decks playing. Now in the last round I was whiffing energy quite a lot against Mad Party, but you know, when I got that first energy and I'd managed to concealing cards with Raging Greninja just for the first time, the presence of the training courts and the scoop up nets basically just saw me through that entire turn, saw me through about 30 cards in my deck. It was incredible. So as for support accounts, there's only 7 supporters in this deck, and they are 2 Marnie, 2 Avery, 2 Boss's Orders, and Raihan. Raihan is also a card that I don't see a lot of in this Dialga VSTAR deck, but Raihan is actually incredible. There can be times where you can prize like one of your 4 metal sources, or you just, you know, your opponent's gone on the offensive because they just don't think that you've got it next turn. And in my first round of today's tournament on the Tuesday in Liverpool, my opponent took a knockout on a Pokemon and I had an energy in the discard already, but my hand was dead other than Raihan, and Raihan just saw me directly into the game and saw me into the Star Chronos that turn. It was insane. The fact that you can grab any card off Raihan and charge an energy as well, it's an incredible card. So I've gone for a bunch of one-offs just over here. 1 singular switch, 1 escape rope, 1 air balloon. You know, partnered with the 4 scoop up nets, that should be more than enough times to retreat and use Mysterious Tail off the Mew to be able to churn through your deck fast enough to be able to turn 3 Star Chronos. I didn't want to cap like any more of those into the deck. I also obviously went for Energy Search as a one-of, as opposed to playing 12 energy, because you can't search energy any other way in the deck. However, Mew can actually hit Energy Search, so having Mew being able to hit Energy Search allows you to find the energy and get into the game that way. As for Pokemon Search, 2 Ultra Balls, because you don't really want to discard too much, and there's only the 2 evolutions that they really search or you want to be using them for, potentially. Because you've got 4 Quick Balls for everything else and 2 Battle VIP passes, and a Hisuian Heavy Ball as well, to make sure that if any of these 2 are prized, or if like both Crobats are prized, for example, or if your Raging Greninja's prized, Hisuian Heavy Ball should be a must one-of in every one of these Dialga decks. And then obviously the 4-ofs, Trekking Shoes, Metal Sources, and Scoop Up Nets. Now, what I haven't talked about is this deck's main weakness, and this deck's main weakness is obviously Path to the Peak. The times when I got Path to the Peak in those tournaments, I not only run an extra stadium in Collapse Stadium, as well as the 2 training cores that most players play, I play Collapse Stadium as well because it helps get rid of the Crobats off the bench and potentially Zacian down the line, you know, things that are liabilities on the bench. And it also, you know, also scales down Palkia's maximum output as well. So Collapse Stadium coupled with a Tool Jammer on your Dialga means that you should never really be getting one-shotted by Palkia, even with a Choice Belt, because obviously Choice Belt's going to be shot off with Tool Jammer, and Collapse Stadium is reducing their bench. I also play the Free Stadium as counters to Path to the Peak, and it's also why I play a singular copy of this, the Pumpkaboo with Pumpkin Pit, which when it's put into play discards a Stadium in play. So that was a very good card through both tournaments, pulled me out of a lot of Path to the Peak situations. So that is the overall deck list. Please give this deck a go, because not many players in the metagame are teching for this deck, and there are also a lot of players, not that I've ran into any of them, but there are also a lot of players playing Ice Rider Calyrex, which obviously, being a metal type, it hits Ice Rider for weakness, which is amazing in itself. It basically forces Palkia, Ice Rider Calyrex players to not bench any Ice Riders at all, which is one of their main attackers, obviously. So I hope you all enjoy this list, I hope you all give it a go, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you for the next video. Peace out, guys.